All right, listen, anytime you can trade your best defensive player in the hopes of trying to eventually draft a good defensive player, you got to do it. Raiders traded Maxx Crosby to the Ravens last night. Vegas getting 2 first-round draft picks in that deal. The timeline for Maxx Crosby is a wild one. A lot can happen in a year. Life was lifing. A 3-year, $106.5 million extension with the Raiders 1 year and 1 day ago. But that relationship began to sour when Vegas placed him on IR late in the season. He wanted to play through a knee issue. The Raiders shut him down. A lot of people speculated it was so they could tank and go ahead and take the first overall draft pick, which they got. But now Crosby is heading to Baltimore. Jeremy Fowler with us in studio. He knew all of that off the top of his head.
Correct.
How did this deal, this deal that, I don't know, we heard about it at the 9 p.m. Eastern hour last night. How did this deal come together?
Raiders GM John Spytek leveraged the Ravens and the Cowboys. The Cowboys really wanted to make this deal happen. They had a first and a second round pick ready to go, including the 12th overall pick this year. But they had their limits. Dallas told me, like, we just couldn't go far enough when we already gave up a first and a second for Quinnen Williams back in the fall. And so the Raiders just said, look, 2 1s is better than whatever package you have. Dallas even tried to get some veteran players involved to sweeten the deal. Vegas said, we want picks, we want to get younger, we want to get better in a hurry. So Baltimore had the bird in hand in the afternoon, waited it out, got it done in the end. There were some other teams on the periphery, but it was really Baltimore and Dallas leveraged against each other. And how are we feeling now, Randy?
We're not feeling great. We've seen rebuilds before. It's just, you know, it's like parades at a theme park, right? You miss one, you wait a couple hours, you'll get the next one, I guess.
I went to bed with the Cowboys having traction in inside position of Maxx Crosby. I woke up, and he's a Baltimore Raven.
You went to bed early, though.
I did. Another Raider expected out of Vegas quite soon, Geno Smith. What's the latest on his situation? And actually, other quarterbacks expected to hit the market here soon.
Yeah, Geno Smith will be released at the start of the new league year, and then he will look for a new home. This is sort of a mutual parting. He was going to get released anyways, but Smith wanted somewhere else to go. He didn't like the setup with the Raiders, where he was really going to have to take all the bullets early in the season for Fernando Mendoza to eventually bench him. So he could be in play for the Vikings. He's on their short list of veterans that they're going to look at. Dolphins are also attracted to Geno Smith as well, but they're probably going the Malik Willis route. They'll look at that option. So Geno Smith still has a chance to be a starter somewhere. Didn't play great last year, but he's looking to rebound, so we'll see how that shakes out. Now you got Tua Tagovailoa. He has not been released yet. The Dolphins are playing this coy a little bit. The expectation around the league is that Miami will move on and take on the huge dead cap hit, which could be up to $99 million if they just cut him outright here soon. There's really no trade leverage here or teams trying to make a move for him. You know, some people around the league I've talked to are looking at a place like Atlanta. Maybe he can go there for a month or two and keep the seat warm for Michael Penix, their young quarterback, until he comes back. So we'll see if Tua finds a home. Not a guarantee. And then you got Kyler Murray. This is probably, I would say, the most attractive option out of these retread quarterbacks on the market. Teams I talked to believe that he will be a starter again. Minnesota certainly on their short list, and some around the league believe he could end up being a Viking if all things go well. But I think he's going to take it slowly. He'll be released on Wednesday around there. And then he'll sort of, weigh his options. He could even take some visits, I'm told, to some teams. Maybe he wants to go see the Jets in person or the Vikings. He'll have some options there. And look at this. QB is expected to be released. Those 3 guys we just talked about. We're talking $100+ million in guaranteed cash going to these quarterbacks for not even playing on their old teams.
Oh, my.
So they're paying them to go away. If we could have a deal so sweet, we would just go home and get paid for it. But that's how it is for these guys.
That is truly incredible. And at least for Minnesota, the idea is they just want to bring in some competition. At least that's the company line. They want to bring in competition for J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I would equate it to the Colts last year when they had Anthony Richardson and brought Daniel Jones in. Had a competition. But it was sort of like, if you're seeing other people, it's probably not a good sign.
I'm not one to give relationship advice. That right there is Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter AM. 2026 and 2027 first-round picks. We're going to show you the updated Super Bowl odds for next season. DraftKings has the Rams as the favorites.
Yeah, that's right.
At plus 850. Seahawks at plus 950 to run it back. And then the Ravens are now tied with the Bills at 10-1, plus 1,000 for the best odds in the AFC. We show you all that, Tyler, and we ask you this. How should fans bet the Ravens specifically this season?
All right, let's focus on Baltimore. Obviously a terrible season last year. Injuries at the quarterback position with Lamar Jackson and just John Harbaugh now gone after being there for however many years. They turned to Jesse Minter, so change at head coach. You should have Lamar back. You add Maxx Crosby to that defense. This is a top-heavy roster with elite talent at the top, but maybe some holes in the middle of their roster. I think they can win the AFC North, I should say, at -140. They're the justified favorite. But I would actually play them under 11.5 wins. I think this is a 10 or 11-win team. Their schedule's not difficult, but I don't see them getting to 12 or 13 because I don't think that's going to be needed in the AFC North. Look at their competition there. Cincinnati, okay. Did they do anything with their defense? Cleveland? I don't think so. Pittsburgh, who's playing quarterback for them? They have a new head coach as well. So while I think they're the best team in that division, I think only 10 or 11 wins is necessary to win it. So I would actually play under 11.5. That's the highest total, tied with the Rams, of any team in the NFL. I don't think they should have that.
11.5 is the highest total, tied with the Rams.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
The graphic was interesting to me.
Yeah.
The AFC representation in this past Super Bowl, nowhere to be found on the favorites.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
I mean, the NFC is clearly the better conference.
Correct,
If
yeah.
I was betting right now a team to win the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I'd look at an NFC squad. The Rams,
Okay.
the Seahawks, maybe the Packers getting Micah Parsons healthy.
Oh, sure.
Tyler Fulgham, just drop a little pearl. Fell overnight, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. The Maxx Crosby era is done in Las Vegas. The all-everything defensive end is heading to Baltimore. Raiders and Ravens making it a blockbuster night. Vegas sending their best defensive player east in exchange for 2 first-round picks this year and next. Maxx Crosby has been among the most dominant defensive players in football. Since he entered the league in 2019, he leads all defensive players in tackles for loss and quarterback pressures while ranking 6th in sacks. He's going to join a Ravens defense tied for the 3rd fewest sacks in the NFL in 2025. Former Raider, our analyst, Louis Riddick, now with his thoughts on the deal.
For the Baltimore Ravens and general manager Eric DeCosta, this is just the kind of acquisition that they needed to kind of reset this Baltimore franchise, now being run by Jesse Minter, the head coach, and Anthony Weaver, particularly the defensive coordinator. They needed someone like Maxx Crosby. They didn't have an impact player on the defensive side of the football at the edge rush position that you can really win with, the kind of guy who can really affect the second and third levels of the defense in terms of making the ball come out faster, helping out the secondary. They don't have to cover as long. And then additionally, a guy who can really set the tone in the locker room and really be the kind of guy who is the pulse of the organization. That's what Maxx Crosby has been his entire career. That's what he's going to be counted on to do now that they paid the price of 2 1s in Baltimore. For the Las Vegas Raiders, what it is now for this football team and general manager John Spytek is really taking these draft picks that they've gotten, the number 1 overall pick this year, the number 14 pick this year, we don't know what that number 1 will be in 2027, and turn it into franchise-altering selections. They cannot miss with these picks. These picks are too valuable now. And who knows what they'll do with them. They may trade these picks in order to get more picks, but they needed the ammunition to be able to build this football team. Now they're on the clock, and we'll see what they can do.
After acquiring the number 14 overall pick from Baltimore, the Raiders now hold number 1 and number 14 in this year's draft. They're the 5th team to have 2 first-round picks in next month's draft. The Jets, Browns, Chiefs, and Cowboys also have 2 firsts. The Rams had 2, but they used 1 to trade for Trent McDuffie on Wednesday. As is the case often when you are the only Raider fan in the room, you get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of how you holding up, as was the case this morning here at work.
They're rebuilding.
And yeah. I mean, they're no stranger to rebuilding, and they're no stranger to having high-pressure draft picks. What they are a stranger to, unfortunately, at least in my lifetime, is getting those draft picks right. And when they do, Maxx Crosby, Khalil Mack, they trade them away when they're in their 20s. So it is a frustrating cycle, I think, for Raider fans. But at the same time, Maxx Crosby's played in 1 playoff game. It's not his fault. Played in 1 playoff game in a Raider uniform, and he deserves a chance to go ahead and make a run.
Crosby, T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett.